What's going on? I hope you all are good. So, recently with the Ahsoka show around the corner, I've been thinking about the new characters that we're going to see in this show, such as Baylan and Shin, and I've been thinking about their motivations and their purpose in the show beyond what we already know. We don't really know their motivations. Now, of course, they're dark side users, so they are evil, but they're not like Darth Plagueis or Emperor Palpatine. Those guys are purely evil. Shin and Baylan have reasons for why they're on the dark side. I mean, we already know that Baylan is a former Jedi Knight, and somehow he made it to the New Beyond and turned to the dark side. So we know the basis of his character, but what about Shin? What is her motivation? Where did she come from? But most of all, in this video, I want to answer, what is her place in this show beyond being a dark side user and an apprentice? So after a little bit of thinking and knowing some leaks of what happens in this show, I can use all the leaks that I know about and try to come up with something that makes sense for Shin's character. Now, getting into the point of this video, I think that Shin will be in a love triangle between Ezra and Sabine at some point in the show.
What?
Now you guys may be thinking, why do I feel this way? Why do I think that she'll be in any way in love or attracted to someone on the light side? And why do I even think that that'll be a part of her character in the first place? Now the first reason for why I think that this could be a part of Shin's character is because of the leaks that came out about this show that not many people know about, but I've made about 3 or 4 videos about these leaks and they are extremely interesting and badass. But basically in these leaks, we know that Ezra has been a part of this new area called the New Beyond for a while. Of course, he got transported there with Thrawn at the end of Rebels, and they've been there for a long time. So I think it's safe to assume that Baylan and Shin have been in the New Beyond as long as Ezra or Thrawn, or even longer. And because of that, we really do not know what's happened in this New Beyond throughout this long period of time where we haven't been there with them. So my theory is that no matter if Ezra or Thrawn have been getting along in this time, have been working together to get back to the normal galaxy that we all know and love, or if they're still rivals to this day, maybe they haven't even seen each other, they might have teleported on different sides of this New Beyond. Who knows, but I think there's a possibility that Ezra has grew to know Shin and Baylan very well. Maybe they've faced off many times, and over this time period, it'll be very interesting if the character of Shin has had to fight Ezra, but at the same time has grew to respect him or even start to like him in a way. I can imagine that she might be the only woman in this New Beyond. I imagine it as being an empty place where there's only Night Sisters, considering we've heard that there is Night Sisters in this New Beyond, but we don't know where they factor into this and how much there are of them. So I imagine that it's kind of lonely in this place, considering how closed off it is. I believe that Shin has grew an attachment to Ezra. Considering by the leaks how badass he's going to be in this show, I'm not surprised a woman would fall for this Jedi. He sounds like an absolute badass. But I also think that Ezra will be the only human or being around the same age as Shin. They seem to be the same age at this point, and so to have someone like Ezra in a place like this, I do believe that Shin wants to hide it as much as she can and deny it to herself, but she does, kind of like Ezra, and maybe wants to get to know him, but of course she's on the dark side and she has missions to complete and she even has to take him out, so it's very conflicting in her mind. And in my opinion, this would be an amazing storyline for this character and just for a character in general. But anyways, of course, we know that Sabine is going to find Ezra some point in this show. It might not even be in season 1, it might just be Ahsoka that meets Ezra and then Sabine later on, but most likely we're going to see Sabine meet Ezra again, and of course them two have feelings for each other and they have done for a while at this point. So I think that after Sabine and Shin meet for the first time, actually not even the first time, because Shin has to see Sabine and Ezra interact and kind of be jealous of the obvious energy that's going on between them. So not only is she assigned to take down the Ghost Crew, which includes Sabine, which she'd at this point very happily do, get rid of Sabine now that she's jealous of the connection her and Ezra have, but also because Sabine is just an enemy of her. So that grows a very huge hatred for Sabine, and it would be so compelling to see. And then of course after that long awaited duel between Shin and Sabine that we saw in the trailer, while they're high on emotion, during the duel they'll stop and have a very sensitive conversation with each other where they just let out all their feelings towards each other and the situation going on. And because of this high emotion situation, Shin will accidentally admit to herself for the first time that she has these feelings for Ezra and she won't let Sabine get in the way. Now of course it can go down slightly different, she could feel a different type of way. Maybe she really likes him, maybe she likes him a little bit, or maybe because she's a dark side user, maybe she likes him so much that she wants to kill him to make sure no one else can get him. Now, even though this would make sense considering the character she is, she's dark side. This is a Disney show, so it probably won't happen this way, but it would be great. I really think this is actually a good plot line that could happen, and it would be very compelling. But yeah, we really don't know how she's going to be attached to Ezra, but it could be in one of them ways. But anyway, she's going to let it out. Maybe they fight to the death and she ends up dying in the end, to make this a satisfying conclusion for her character. But in the end, Sabine will remember what Kanan has taught her and take out Shin. And then Shin's light side comes out while she's dying in Sabine's arms. And they have this moment where you can tell they could have been friends if they weren't on two different sides of the Force, shall we say. And then Shin dies, or an alternate ending, they can end up getting along and Shin turns to the light side, which doesn't make as much sense unless they just become civil, because she don't really like who she works for and she doesn't mind being civil with Sabine and the Ghost crew, and she wants to be close to Ezra and help him out. So yeah, I think this will be a very interesting plot line for this character and just for the Ahsoka show in general. In my opinion, it's very anime-esque, even though it's been in live actions, we've seen this before, and it normally works out very well and is portrayed very well on screen. A situation like this, a love triangle, but this is Star Wars, and the fact that she's like a samurai on the dark side, Sabine's a good samurai in training on the light side, and then Ezra is just this badass, well-trained Luke Skywalker type of Jedi, to be honest. But he's even more conflicted in between both sides of the Force. Ezra could very easily become one of the best characters in Star Wars. I'm telling you guys now, the leaks from his character sound so cool. Some things he can do we've never heard of before. I'm just gonna leak one thing because it's so hype. I've mentioned all the leaks in a previous video if you want to go and watch that. There is 4 videos, but the last one is the one you want to watch for the details about Ezra and Thrawn and just the characters in general, basically. But Ezra learns Force martial arts. What is that? What is that going to look like? Apparently he even has a Force Kamehameha wave like Goku from Dragon Ball, which is just Force martial arts, and a Force Kamehameha in Star Wars is one of the most hyped things we can ever think of. This show, in my opinion, is going to be amazing. Dave Filoni is the GOAT. But anyways, I've rambled on enough. But what do you think about it? Put it down below, and I'll see you on the next one.